Investing in silver has never been easy for beginner or expert investors. Its recent popularity, especially with younger investors, has also ushered in a new wave of silver hypers, pumpers, and marketers who have profited off of selling silver as the investment of a lifetime. Time to look at the facts, the truth, and the myths so investing in silver can be framed properly, because your perspective will always determine your perception, like looking at a 6 or a 9. Our perspective is a very powerful frame of how we view and experience the world. I often use the analogy of us wearing an invisible pair of glasses that, based on our personal experiences, these visible lenses curve or flatten to change how we view the world. These invisible glasses really explain how two people can experience or witness the exact same event and walk away with very different interpretations. The head scratching part about it is our perspectives have validity and can be viewed as accurate, but your perspective does not necessarily represent the facts or the truths of a situation. Look at the picture on the screen, and what do you see? One man is elated that he and his silver are going to be saved by the man in the boat. At the exact same time, the man in the boat is overjoyed that he has finally found land. In the other person, both of them see hope and a chance for rescue. However, our vantage point allows us to see that both of these men are equally screwed. With the limited amount of time we have, I want to focus on silver and how our perspective has been warped by unrealistic expectations and how we actually fix this. Since you've made it past the first 30 seconds of this video, that means I have a decent shot at keeping you for the whole video. Except what I'm about to share is likely going to tick a number of you off and lead you to believe I hate silver and maybe even stop the video. I want you to resist that temptation, because once this video is over, you'll know what I believe, which is silver will win, and exactly why I believe it will win. Unfortunately, getting from here to there is kind of like going to be, similar to childbirth. A whole lot of labor pains, but the baby, I promise, the baby will make it worth it. To the lady stackers, I know y'all just love it when us men talk about things we can never experience. I'm sorry, but it was the best example that I could tie to B-roll. Back to me ticking some of you guys off. I want to remind you that my responsibility in this channel is to tell you what you need to hear based on my interpretations of the data and the conditions. And while I love silver as an investment, I also had to remind you of what I learned as a kid from listening to Al Green on the Reel to Reel while we cleaned the house on Sundays. Al Green taught me that love will make you do right. Love will make you do wrong. It'll make you come home early. It'll make you stay out all night long. All right, anyway. Seriously, Dr. Stacker, Al Green and silver investing have nothing to do with each other. Just stop it. You see, love and expectations are actually very much tied together. That feeling of love comes with expectations that are both spoken and unspoken, as well as reasonable and unreasonable expectations, which all have a tremendous impact on your perspective, which we now know impacts our perceptions. One topic from my counseling program that I will never forget was on expectations and how it impacts our well-being, our mental health, and our relationships. In particular, that we need to be aware of them and able to articulate them with friends, partners, and loved ones, because unmet expectations and unrealistic expectations set us up for frustration, disappointment, unhappiness, self-judgment, depression, and even a desire to leave the relationship. It doesn't matter if we're talking about a romantic relationship or an investment. This disconnect will destroy relationships. Who knew that a stacking video would also be giving you very important relationship lessons? I'm just saying, it's a little different around here at Stackers U. But isn't that exactly what we're seeing and hearing from those that are and have given up on silver? Isn't it just frustration, disappointment, unhappiness, depressed feelings, ultimately leading to them leaving the investment? So let's spend a few moments covering myths and lies that I believe have contributed to some unreasonable expectations, which have misshaped so many people's perception and perspective on silver as an investment. Number one, hypers, pumpers, and marketers. Remember all the pumpers and hypers telling us over and over again that how we had to buy now and how it's going to take off, and any day now. Remember almost the daily thumbnails with the current price of the day, and when silver was in its mid-20s and everything was super hyped up. And then we went to our low 20s. And then they switched to telling you that it was a buying opportunity of a lifetime. Come on, y'all. You know I'm not making this up. Then they shifted to pontificating, projecting why silver should be in the triple digits and what it should be worth based off of X, Y, and Z. And we can't forget number two, manipulation, and all the reasons why silver wasn't performing. Well, duh, we all know the market is manipulated. Heck, I can argue the market has been manipulated ever since we first pegged a ratio value for silver to gold. By the way, just because the market is manipulated, that doesn't mean we can't win. And of course, number three, then we got the Tiwaki, I don't know, folks. The end of the world as we know it. Just look at YouTube and look at how the thumbnails and titles have shifted. Now it's all doom and gloom, collapse, and end of fiats and blah, blah, blah. Don't get me wrong. We have to be prepared. But dang, can we focus on some solutions and not fray my nerves with negative messages all day long? I mean, if it's all coming to an end, then why in the heck are we doing this? I mean, if they really believed it was going to implode, shouldn't they at least be doing their videos from a self-sustained bunker on a farmland that they bought after selling all their worldly possessions for gold and silver? I mean, the way they tell it, I mean, how could we not be frustrated, disappointed, and hard to get along with? Number four, silver is a flawed investment, but it's still a decent store of wealth. Sorry, but it's true. Don't get mad at me, get mad at the data. I shared this chart a couple weeks ago, and here it is again with updated numbers. But since 1972, you can compare and see the difference in performance between the Dow Jones, S&P, gold, and silver. And silver's just not close. But that doesn't matter. We're not going to allow comparison to be the thief of our joy. It's still a very good return. So we just need to understand that. Number five, baseless and unfounded ratio claims. If I had a nickel for every time I heard that silver and gold should go back to the ratio used in Roman times, the Earth's crust, or when governments had pegged it to a certain ratio, ultimately it is what it is, and there's no reason to believe whatsoever that we're going to go back to how silver and gold are mined from the Earth's crust to determine the price. It's not how markets work. It doesn't take into consideration its utility and the supply and demand, which is point number six. Majority of its demand is industrial. How in the world can anything reach its all-time price high in an environment where more than half of its demand is industrial and we're facing a national and possibly a global recession or depression? Is it possible? Of course it's possible. And if the financial situation gets bad enough, anything can happen. But it's far from a guarantee as people have discussed it. Seven, the green movement and silver's multiple uses. While all of that is correct, it then comes back to the economy, right? And if we're in a recession, it doesn't matter how green we want to be, we're never going to fully actualize that plan until we get into a better economic situation. And people act like it's a light switch and it's just going to be all of a sudden everything is all green. This is a process, and these things can take 10 to 20 years to transition at best. And you hear that from some of the experts. Number eight, shortage. Another favorite tactic of the hypers, pumpers, and marketers. Now, while I'm going to admit that the data is mixed and the experts are mixed, they fall on both sides of the argument, so I'm going to leave that one as a tie. Number nine, it's so undervalued. While I agree that it's undervalued, what does that really mean? Does that mean that silver at $20 really should be 40 or 50? Yeah, absolutely. But those aren't the numbers that we see people pushing. We see people pushing triple digits. And heck, I started seeing people talk about 4-digit silver. I don't know how that happens, but hey, and if this was going to happen, then why wouldn't we see central banks all over the world hoarding, gobbling up silver? Instead, they're gobbling up gold. Instead, gold is a tier 1 asset for a reason. And number 10, finally, it just pays. The reality is that the hypers, pumpers, and marketers have only profited by pushing these narratives or clickbaiting videos to make 10 cents a view. They have used it as an opportunity to feed viewers what they wanted to hear almost in a predatory way. Now that I've ticked off a good number of you, I can't think of a crazier time to ask you for your help in defeating the trolls that are hitting the dislike button. Don't get me wrong. If you think the content sucks, hit the dislike button. But if by any chance you have found this video informative, insightful, helpful, or entertaining thus far, could you please hit the thumbs up button? If you're still mad at me for everything that I've said before, hold on, because I have a bunch of good things to say about silver. And so you might change your mind and want to hit the thumbs up button here in a second. Thank you for all y'all that took the time to hit the like button. And one last thing, some of y'all are ganging up on me, your social media saying my display game is a little weak. So in the comments section, I want you to give me some suggestions of coins you'd like for me to buy to step up my display game. This is the only time I'm gonna buy some BS silver that I can see at least in the foreseeable future. I'm gonna give y'all a budget of $300 and nothing more than like 40 bucks for a coin. With that, let's get to the good news and the reasons why you shouldn't give up on silver and the strategies to employ. And thankfully, this is rather simple and easy list in some very real ways. One, have a realistic set of expectations for silver based on prior performance and market conditions, not these ridiculous predictions. Two, monitor what you let in your head as you know that this truly will shape how you view the investment and view everything around you. So you've got to guard your brain and what information you let rattle around in there. Number three, remain disciplined and remember that this is and always has been a long-term play, not a get rich quick situation. Number four, patience. Know that in due time, and I believe a minimum of 10 years, it is very plausible that silver will be regarded much like platinum, a monetary metal, but more valuable as an industrial metal. Number five, ignore the noise and use time to your advantage. As a quick aside, going back to my video where I traded my silver for gold, one of the underlying strategies is that I know that I have more time to rebuild my silver position at a lower cost basis than I do to build my gold position between 1680 and 1750. Number six, consider balancing your metals portfolio with gold. Next, even if silver isn't performing well, it's still better than cash. And no matter what it does in the short term, I'd rather you have your money sitting in silver than sitting in your bank account. Not to mention, the power behind metals is that it changes you and it makes you think differently about your daily purchases. I know that the more that I think about my daily purchases in terms of ounces of silver, the more intentional I am about my spending, which allows me to save more money and leads to more stacking. Finally, and I want to be so very clear with this, there is nothing, not a thing wrong with silver as an investment. The problem is the unrealistic expectations and especially the timeline. If you can remember that this is a long-term play, not a get-rich-quick situation, then these daily gyrations are these great opportunities for you to add to your stack at a lower cost. Don't give on silver because its price point and its potential make it one of the better investments available to us regular people. I believe your efforts will be greatly rewarded, but that can't happen if you have unrealistic expectations, as that will lead to a perspective and a negative perception of silver as an investment. Develop a very strong foundation of silver. I really like the idea of a minimum of 500 ounces. Once you get that base, I do believe you need to transition to gold because it offers advantages that silver just doesn't have. In the comments section, I want to hear your thoughts about which of the commonly shared reasons for silver going parabolic overnight drives you the craziest or you find the most dishonest. Which of the reasons why you shouldn't give up on silver makes the most sense to you? What did I miss, good or bad? And do you agree that silver's day in the sun is more likely 10 years away? Give yourself an A+ for rocking with me all the way to the end. Shout out to our latest channel members, Leroy Johnson and Bobby Legs Love Watches. Go check out Bobby's channel. And thank you, Adam Jam, for being our first undergraduate member. Always stack smarter and never stop learning.